point, we are able to achieve this without any problem. So when I click on one right now, nothing is actually click on one, nothing is actually happening. So we are going to apply the function. So when I click on one, but we are going to start with this 0. So let's just start it. So when I click on 0, what is going to happen? I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call B0, which is going to signify for our 0. You can start to name it anything, but it's always a good idea if your function tends to make sense. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to make use of this our global card that we created. Remember that I've talked about difference between global and local variable. This guy is a global variable, and this I called it inside here the local variable. This is our this car will call they are talking about this of our global, and before you can make use of it inside of a function, you need to call the global car. If you say you must call it, but that's really a good idea when you call it. So you can easily recognize that you are trying to call it. If you don't call it, Python will automatically make use of it. But it's always a good idea when you call it by making use of the global. So the next thing here, we're going to implement the logic. Is going to be simple. Since I call this global, so I can now set the global to be of a new value. Because the global is this car is still empty. So I'm going to this I call the car. So if I say car now, I will know that our car is now set. Just like this empty guy is going to be here. Then I'm going to plus it with a string of that I actually do here. And I'm going to do something that I'm going to explain it in well detailed. And even though I've explained all this is in well detail when we're talking about everything you need to know about Tkinter, the link will be in the description down below. So if you're interested, you can check it out. So what is actually happening here? We created a cow. We created a variable named the car and just gave it to empty string with a little bit of space inside it. Remember that this cow you can name it anything of your choice, and then we created a function. Yeah, we gave it b0, and then we'll call the global car. When I call the global car, I call this guy here. What I did here was I actually changed it. So here when I say something like, okay, how should I give example? When I say something like a is equals to 7, and then here I come and say a is equal to 8. Just that when anytime I call a, it's not going to be 8 instead of 7. So but when I say a plus 9, what is actually happening here? Since Python will treat this guy as a new variable, that is as if this guy just created himself initially, because like as explained, when I call that of a, it's now going to be 8 instead of 7, because Python is going to look at the value and then look at the variable. So when here is going to be 7, like I said, it's going to look at the value first before you now look at the variable. So here is now as if we are saying 7 here, 7 plus 9, because that is what our a is, because this a here is talking about 7. Like putting 7 inside, I'm going to plus it like that. Hope it's not hard to understand. That's just basically what to actually did it. And just like saying our empty space here plus this string or this string or this, since we set this string here, which is this string, to be handling anything that has to be do with string, to be string variable. So anything we are trying to put here should be of string. So that I turn this 0 to string. It's as if I'm just trying to say, feel like this, there's no much different. It's still the same thing. So I'm getting it confused. It's just basically the same thing, but I want to do it this way. Yeah, I don't even know what I want to do. I don't even know this way I want to do it in this way. But I think this way is a little bit better. But you can start to put just that quote on top and then put the 0 inside it. And then what did I actually do there? And then before when you turn this to 0, when you everything hit, so let me just explain. Here is now as if we're trying to say our empty space plus 0. So this is what this place is just basically. So it's not going to be 0 plus, there's not going to be a little bit of space before this. And then we set the string to take this. So here is what is now inside here is not going to be what is it called? It's not going to be 0. It's not going to be this output that we set here. We cannot see this empty string here. We're just going to see 0 here. So let's just set it to that of the command 0. So we're going to, but in 0, we're going to set the command here. So it's going to be that of B0. So and the other thing we want it to just to do is, since when we click on this button 0, is going to run this of our function, which is this guy, and this the main our main idea is to set this of our string variable to be that of 0. So when we set it, we need it to actually appear on the entry. So let me just close this and run it again. You can see that even though we have to click 0, it's not going to appear on this of our entry. You can see it's not still being appeared on. So we need to set this entry to get the value, because know that the 0 is going to be stored on this string variable here. So we're going to set the entry to for that 0 to appear on it. So we're going to call this string here. Know that this string is just as if 0 is inside here. We're going to do what is called what? Test variable, and then we're going to set it, we're going to set it to I'm going to set it to string. Initially, while here is going to be our string of 0. So I hope it's not confusing. But instead of calling it string of 0, because we're going to create all the other functions on it, so it's definitely going to setting it to 0, just set it to be only 0, not going to change. So once it anytime it changes, it gets added to that of the our button. So let me just run it and we're going to explain this a little bit more. So when I click on 0, you can see 0 appears inside here. So I click on it, click on it. Let me put this so you can see keep on appearing inside it. But you can see that we only work for 0, we didn't do for any other buttons, but we're definitely going to do for that of the other button. And next video I'm going to explain this again. If you are still getting it, how to understand. So I think this way we're going to draw the curtain for the video. I'll be happy to see you in the next one. Thank you very much.